If you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sonny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it, and it's nothing there.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want to have anything to do with him. She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Allegedly.
And she doesn't.
Yeah, how do you know all this?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know all this.
Allegedly. That's why I say allegedly.
Joe Rogan mocking Sonny Hostin after Melania Trump files a $500 million lawsuit against her is one of those moments where politics, media, and comedy collide in the most brutal way possible. For Hostin, it's not just a legal nightmare, it's a credibility collapse playing out under the brightest lights. Rogan doesn't approach it with sympathy. He approaches it like a stand-up who's just been handed the juiciest setup of the year.
Our children are watching and learning about politics in our country. They deserve a better display of responsibility and respect. While they like to blame my husband for his behavior, the media's promotion of divisive language and attacks has led to open disdain and hostility towards voters like you and me. Deplorables, they called us.
Sonny Hostin tearing into Melania Trump would sound flat out ruthless. She'd call her the most uninspiring first lady in modern history, someone who spent 4 years decorating the White House like it was an IKEA showroom clearance sale. She'd sneer at Melania's so-called anti-bullying campaign, pointing out the hypocrisy of sleeping next to the nation's #1 bully every night. And she'd say the only lasting mark Melania left was that tacky jacket, because for all her expensive taste, she still managed to look cheap in history.
You need to defend yourself all the time. As you may heard, I file a few lawsuits, and I'm in the court now because they accuse me of doing stuff that I never did in my life, and they wrote lies, and I will not allow that. I will fight till the end because I don't want that they damage my reputation and my name.
The thing about Joe Rogan is that he doesn't roast the way late-night comedians do. He's not polishing monologues or relying on writers' rooms. He reacts like a guy who sees the absurdity in real time, then pulls it apart with the precision of someone who's been around long enough to smell fraud. Hostin becomes the perfect subject. She built a career on moral lectures, on passing judgment with the confidence of someone convinced the cameras will always back her up. But now, Rogan mocks her as the loudest person in the room who's suddenly been forced into silence, not by critics or trolls, but by Melania Trump wielding a lawsuit the size of a small country's GDP.
Yeah, did you watch the episode when Tulsi Gabbard got on to defend herself and Joy Behar starts panicking and going over her notes while Tulsi is refuting everything that she said?
Yeah, I mean, Joy Behar, again, these people have dementia. These are people who, should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform. I mean, it is crazy. They have no idea. These people have never read, a book.
And there's versions of it.
Yes.
Then the other one with Sharon.
The brilliance of Rogan's mockery is that he doesn't even have to exaggerate. Hostin's situation already plays like satire. Here's a woman who constantly scolds others about accountability, now facing the ultimate form of it in the form of a legal hammer that could financially vaporize her. Rogan mocks the irony, the hypocrisy, the sheer awkwardness of someone who made her career out of targeting others now crying foul when the target lands on her back. He points out how quickly the narrative changes when the consequences become personal. The same Sonny who loved playing prosecutor on TV suddenly morphs into the victim, clutching her pearls and demanding fairness. Rogan doesn't buy it, and neither does anyone watching.
A couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, are just very dull-minded. But I think Sonny's not one of them. I think she's smart but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course. They do everything with an agenda.
Yeah. She came into it, it seems, really wanting to paint me as someone that has been co-opted by the right wing.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much research she had done into me. She claimed to have read my book twice, which...
What makes Rogan's takedown sting even more is how he frames Hostin as the embodiment of media arrogance. He mocks the way she delivers her commentary like it's divine wisdom. when in reality, it's the same recycled talking points wrapped in self-importance. Now that Melania Trump has taken her to court, Rogan paints her as a balloon that's finally meeting the pin. Every overconfident declaration, every smug smile, every time she leaned back in her chair as if she were dispensing gospel, all of it collapses under the weight of one lawsuit. Rogan mocks her not just for being wrong, but for being so absolutely certain she could never be challenged.
Like Sherry Shepard, she used to be on The View as well. She's really nice too. She was always at the store. She's always cool as fuck.
I'm
Really
sure
nice
they're all
lady.
nice.
She was really nice. Sherry Shepard is a really nice lady. And she's also like super religious. Like she's a God-fearing Christian woman, like full stop, you know?
Yeah. Can I suggest a thing for The View? This is a suggestion I have. Men.
He doesn't stop there. Rogan points out the absurdity of the media ecosystem that props up Hostin. He mocks how networks rush to frame her as the brave truth teller under attack, when the reality is she got reckless, thought she was immune, and now faces consequences most people couldn't dream of escaping. For Rogan, it's the perfect hypocrisy. The same people who preach about accountability suddenly abandoning the word the second one of their own is caught. Hostin becomes the symbol of that double standard, and Rogan gleefully skewers her for it. But it's not just about Hostin as an individual. Hostin, in Rogan's eyes, is just the loudest actor on that stage, and now her script doesn't protect her anymore. With Melania Trump's lawsuit looming, Rogan suggests that all the applause signs and sympathetic nods from co-hosts won't matter when the stakes involve $500 million. The comedy writes itself. The performer who thought she was immune to reality suddenly discovers reality has a higher billing.
Book come out?
February.
The odds are very low.
Very low, right? Because
very low.
Think of how many guests they have on their show, how
many
much
things you
time
have
she
to do,
has.
family obligations.
Yeah.
What is it, about 250 pages?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, I might be wrong. I mean, do you have an audiobook available?
I do, yeah. I read it myself.
Maybe she did it at double speed.
Yeah.
Twice.
So I sounded like Ben Shapiro the whole time.
Rogan also mocks the sheer theatricality of Hostin's response. Instead of humility, she doubles down with dramatic statements, portraying herself as a victim of power. Rogan calls it out for what it is, a bad performance meant to shield her ego. He paints a picture of someone who can't imagine life outside the protective bubble of studio lights and scripted applause, suddenly realizing that lawsuits don't care about applause. To him, it's hilarious because the whole thing reveals how shallow her power really is. The legal system doesn't run on hashtags, it doesn't care about how many times the audience claps, and it certainly doesn't bend for media personalities who mistake attention for authority. For Rogan, Hostin isn't just in trouble, she's exposed. And there's nothing funnier than watching someone who pretended to be untouchable realize just how fragile their world really is.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Left The View, by the way. She left The View.
Well, she's free to be on your show now.
We wish her well.
Imagine you as her on your show interviewing her.
I would love to interview her as her, but I think there's such a
small chance.
So
you're saying there's a chance
that's going to happen? Yes, there is a chance, but it's not big.
What if I helped her? What if I was there? What if I was there, like, as a moderator?
You want to organize it, I'll show up.
I would do it.
I absolutely will.
But you and her
show up.
together on this show.
Well, I don't think I should do it the whole time, but I think it'd be fun to interview her for 5 minutes and then say, hey, Megan, I get it. I also hate Joy Behar. So I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So I hate.
The comedy works because Rogan never lets it become mean-spirited for its own sake. He points out that Hostin created this mess herself. She gambled on the idea that she could say anything, frame anyone, and face no consequences. Now that she's being sued for $500 million, Rogan treats her like a character in a story where the hubris always comes before the fall. He mocks her as if she's the main character in a modern fable, one where the moral isn't subtle. For Hostin, the roast is more than embarrassing. It's a demolition job. And for Rogan, it's just another reminder that comedy doesn't need to invent anything when reality already does the work. The funniest part of this entire fiasco is how quickly Sunny Hostin went from portraying herself as the fearless defender of justice to looking like a deer caught in the headlights of a legal semi-truck.
I saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true.
Rogan didn't have to invent punchlines because Hostin's reaction supplied enough material to fill an entire comedy special. One day, she's wagging her finger on air, dripping with that air of moral superiority, and the next, she's probably Googling the hourly rates of every overpriced Manhattan law firm that pretends to care about her case. It's the whiplash of hypocrisy that makes it so ripe for Rogan's mockery. What makes the roast even sharper is that Rogan understands spectacle better than Hostin ever will. He sees the lawsuit not as a dry legal matter, but as theater. A theater where Hostin accidentally cast herself as the lead in a tragicomedy no one wanted to see. There's also the absurdity of Hostin trying to maintain dignity while the internet gleefully turns her humiliation into a meme factory. Every shaky explanation, every attempt to reframe herself as the victim becomes fodder for Rogan to point out just how fragile her persona actually is.
Fans, the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house. Like, they're probably immobile.
Right. Because their mom's taking their kids to school, and that's, yeah.
It's a very strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
She built her entire brand on the illusion of being unshakable, a woman immune to criticism, yet the first real shot across her bow sent her scrambling for sympathy. Rogan tears into that facade by showing how Hostin has mistaken volume for resilience and indignation for strength. Under pressure, it all crumbles. Rogan also makes it clear that this lawsuit is about more than just money. It's about exposure. Hostin has made a living by lobbing accusations and hiding behind the protective bubble of daytime TV applause. For someone who thrives on controlling the narrative, being forced to live in an environment where truth matters is its own kind of nightmare. And then there's the raw scale of the lawsuit itself. $500 million. Not just enough to sting, but enough to completely redefine someone's life.
Do you have any trans women on it?
Great point. It has a lot of women that look trans, but none of them... It has a lot of second and third takes. After a drink, you'd go, huh? But it doesn't have a ton of,
It's zero.
I agree. It should be all trans women.
Imagine.
The best era of The View, and I've talked about it before, was when Rosie O'Donnell was talking about Building 7.
Yeah.
That was the best. That I watched.
Rogan pounces on the ridiculousness of Hostin, thinking she could dance in the ring with figures like Melania Trump and not expect a counterpunch. It's like picking a fight with a heavyweight while bragging about how tough you are, then realizing the ring doesn't have ropes you can hide behind. For Rogan, it's the ultimate karmic slapstick. The pundit who never shuts up suddenly facing a price tag for her words that no spin cycle can wash away. The brilliance of Rogan's roast is that he doesn't just stop at mocking Hostin's current predicament. He zooms out to show the broader collapse of the persona she's been selling. And watching Rogan laugh through the wreckage makes it impossible to see Hostin as anything other than another pretender who finally tripped over her own performance.
I think the problem with that show is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. And they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her. And, they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show.
So we had 8 minutes, and America's approach to race, pretty big topic, pretty important topic.
I think the way you, before you start, the way you describe.
Rogan doesn't have to tell anyone to feel sorry for Hostin. He knows the absurdity speaks for itself. The lawsuit isn't just a legal skirmish, it's a full-blown public unmasking. Every layer of her carefully constructed persona gets peeled back under the relentless spotlight, and the result is far from flattering. What remains isn't the commanding truth-teller she always fancied herself to be, but rather a fragile figure stumbling in a storm of her own creation. The spectacle strips away the rhetoric, the posturing, and the moral grandstanding until only the raw insecurity beneath is left exposed. For Rogan, the comedy doesn't need to be cruel, it's clarifying. His approach highlights the gap between who she pretends to be and who she actually is. It shows that behind the podium of outrage and the facade of strength lies a hollow character, one whose performance collapses the moment reality intrudes. The laughter isn't aimed at her pain, but at the ridiculousness of the charade, a reminder that authenticity can't be faked, no matter how loudly someone insists otherwise. In this unraveling, the humor becomes sharper than any legal brief, and that's why the roast lands so hard. Rogan doesn't simply laugh at Sunny Hostin's crisis, he reframes it as proof that the entire empire she built on moralizing and theatrics was one gust of accountability away from collapse. The $500 million lawsuit is the punchline she never saw coming, and Rogan makes sure the world doesn't miss a single beat of the joke.